Hey, what's going on, everybody? Horde616 here, and today we have another Star Citizen video. However, this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of about the topic at hand, which is Star Citizen Alpha 3.18. So it is currently in the PTU being tested, but it is not live. Okay, so here we've got, you know, the testing focus, which is, salvage, which everybody's been waiting for, especially those of you that also are pirates. You're going to be really excited for this because you'll be able to hull strip and repair your ship. You'll be able to scrap hulls and basically sell it for profit. And it's just going to make returning to stations, a lot less of a need when you're out there in the verse, doing your pirating, which is going to be really awesome. So, and of course, those for you that are scrappers, salvagers, it's going to be exciting for you guys as well because you got a new game loop. And, aside from just mining and cargo hauling, which is fantastic. So we've got Platform Assault on Orison, which is going to be a new game mode. And that's going to be fun. Hopefully, they figure out the situation with the frame loss at Orison so that it's going to be a playable experience rather than a crash festival. And they get the AI to be running correct and everything like that. So we already know how Siege of Orison goes. If you have a pretty decent card, you have a decent 30 FPS at least. But anybody not with running a decent card is going to be struggling to maintain 20, 29 FPS. From what I've heard in the past. So courier delivery missions update. So we've got new missions for courier missions, which we've needed. Hopefully, that's going to come with a pay increase as well, because as we all know, usually courier missions are in the lower echelon of, making money. So you don't make as much money. You make like 3,000 to like 9,000 for a package. If it's an illegal package, you might make maybe a little more, but not really. So we'll see what they're going to do with that. It's still in the PTU, so once it goes live, we'll be able to test it for ourselves and find out more. So sandbox prison activities. So this is actually something that I'm excited for, because when you go to the prison, there's going to be like a main mission that you can do to escape the prison. And that's the way that it's set up, and it's going to be really interesting. So you're going to escape the prison, basically what people have been doing so far, but it's actually going to be a mission with markers and things like that to show you where to go and escape the prison. They're going to make it really fun, and there's going to be like some other surprises while you're escaping the prison and stuff like that, which I'm not too sure of what it is, but I know that that's what I heard them say in one of the podcasts that they did. So we've got new caves. We've got new sand caves. Now, I don't know if they're going to rework all of the caves, because all of the caves absolutely need a rework with, the issues between sinking through walls and not being able to climb up some of the walls properly first time. You have to like find the right spot or getting stuck in the walls. Also, the shader cache issues with in the caves where it's supposed to be dark, but then you see like this white bright, like whitish box, and it just looks terrible. So hopefully they're reworking the caves that we already have, as well as adding these new caves. We got the Daymar crash site, which is going to be just like another derelict site to do things at and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. Stanton racetrack locations. So there's supposed to be 6 new locations for racetracks, and that's going to be cool for the racers. I know that there's racers out there that have been wanting to actually have some, tracks and stuff, and I know that they're working on making it as close to, but not copying, Star Wars Episode 1 pod racing as possible. So they are allowing basically pirates, scrappers, anybody to basically be able to engage these racers. So you can shoot down racers, and now with hull stripping and everything like that and scrapping, you can actually just go to the ship that you've downed and just reclaim, their hull and stuff, and sell it for profit or use it, to repair your own ship. That's going to be pretty exciting. for both parties, for pirates, for scrappers, and you know, raiders even, as well as the racers themselves. It adds that excitement, you know, and that risk to the reward factor, you know. So same thing, gray cat races. So new rivers, these are going to be new areas in the game that they've done reworks on the water and rock textures, how the textures touch each other, how they blend, and they basically did a lot of that, adding new rivers, um, you know, on like Microtech and Hurston and things like that, but also reworking the rivers we already have from the footage that I've seen, and it looks pretty good. You know, um, it looks pretty good. Hopefully, we're gonna have things to do at those rivers, but we'll see. Hopefully, they add some caves like in a waterfall or something. Hey, CIG, if you're listening, you know that's like a really cool idea, like a hidden location, something like that. Um, Additional derelict outposts. We've been needing these because, like, I'm not gonna lie, like these planets are massive. They're super massive scale, and it feels almost like, you know, it takes you, I don't know, like 5 to 10 minutes to go in any direction to find anything, and having more derelict sites would be definitely awesome, especially if these derelict sites are gonna have like live cargo, so you'll be able to actually find these boxes that is going to have whatever cargo that derelict site had. Hopefully, it's just going to spawn in like a massive amount of SCU of cargo that you'll be able to take, as well as other people that are in competition with you. It will, I don't want to say force PvP, but it will kind of like, you know, enable you to have a PvP experience if you want to. Remember, you can always run. Yeah, you want it, you want to get greedy, well, you're going to have to take out the other player for the reward. High risk, high reward is how it goes. You know, this is a player interaction game, so not essentially PvP. I'm not calling it PvP, but I am saying you are going to interact with other people in the verse, and that's something that cannot be stopped. So, as unpopular as an opinion as that may be to some, I apologize, but it is what it is. Additional derelict outposts. Okay, so restricted areas version 3. So I'm not entirely sure about this one, to be quite honest. So I can't really speak about it. What I'm hoping that this is has to do with the armistice zones, um, because the armistice zones. I'm going to talk about the armistice zones anyway because it's a problem. You know, if you're in an armistice zone like at Area 18, or in Orison, or you know, somewhere like Hurston, Lorville, right? For example, your weapons cannot fire. It won't. It will actually not allow you to fire your weapon, right? So whenever you're at Everest or like some other space stations, um, I think that the cone or the circumference of where the armistice zone begins and ends is a problem because you can be in an armistice zone, but it still allows you to fire your weapons, which allows you to target enemies. And yeah, it gives you a crime stat, but I'll be 100% honest with you. A crime stat currently, the way the game is, essentially doesn't do anything to deter people from griefing or killing other players, pad ramming as they're coming out of their hangars. Now, granted, if somebody's coming out of their hangar, okay, and they're getting blasted uh, by another player, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're griefing. That's up for debate. If you guys want to talk about it, we can. Um, because you have enough shields and hull life that if you wanted to just go in any direction and quantum, you could. And if you wanted to stay and fight, you could. You have that choice. Currently, I don't know what it's going to be like with the new SCM and QCM modes. So we'll see how that happens. You know, especially with the flight changes, the to the speed and everything like that. Especially going into QCM mode, you're gonna have to down your shields in order to go to the quantum boost or quantum jump. So We'll see how they manage that. Arena Commander, I don't play any Arena Commander, so I'm not really excited about any of these change. But it says quality of life updates, so hopefully so. You know, the couple of times that I played Arena Commander, I just felt like it was just, I don't know, lacking. So it just didn't pique my interest much. So all right, we have known issues. So this is things that they're working on. So we've got character customizer stuck on saving character on the front end menu after the first time joining PU. All right, so they know about this. Items appear not to be removed from players' inventory when they sell them or hand them to a contraband kiosk. Location: Daymar, Wister Crypt, uh, Syseek, walking on hills near Wister Crypt can potentially kill or wound a player. Now, listen, I'm going to talk about this. This happens in a lot of places. It doesn't matter where you are. I was at Hurston doing a security bunker, and after I had completed the bunker, I had my MSR and I had my Ursa Rover, and myself and CJ were starting to get ready to load up the Ursa Rover, and I was gonna run back to my MSR. And as I'm running back to my MSR to close the ramp, I put my rifle away. I drop to the ground, incapacitated, and then immediately die. It doesn't incapacitate me to the point where I can be revived. It actually just kills me. Then my body despawns because I went to the hospital. So CJ couldn't even grab what I had on me so that to save my stuff, right? So to grab my stuff, so that's like, a pretty big issue for me, because what if I had, subscriber loot or something, or like something that I paid for that I have to now do a character reset for in order to get my stuff back, because once you lose your things in the verse, that's pretty much it. So for those of you that actually pay for armor sets and things like that, personally, CIG, I think that if someone paid for something, they shouldn't have to do a character reset in order to get it back. It should just respawn back into their inventory. That's my opinion. Anyway, but yeah, that's a pretty shitty thing to just be running, doing something, and then immediately die. It's almost as bad as getting in the middle of like a really epic fight and having a 30k. So, inventory. Equipped gear can be lost when players die in Armistice zones. Okay, um, I haven't had this issue where I've lost my stuff in an Armistice zone. Like if you, let's say, die near enough to a space station, like your stuff should automatically end up back in your inventory. But I have heard that some people do lose their stuff, and that's unfortunate because, especially with these medical beds that you try to push your um, teammate on just for, I don't know, atmosphere, or what is it called? Uh, Immersion, right? You're pushing them to the hospital, and then all of a sudden the hospital bed just flings you into the wall, and just you're dead. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, so scanning not showing advanced statistics and details. Once again, this is an issue that I haven't encountered, but I'm sure that it can be rather annoying. Something on this though that I have encountered when it comes to uh, like scanning or pinging, like not so much scanning, but actually pinging whenever you're doing the pin scanning on planet when it's dark. Could we just have like a mode where instead of pinging, that we just keep that mode on, like a screen or something, like a visor that just comes over the front of the cockpit that allows us to just see in that night vision type of mode, like consistently? Because I'll tell you right now, having to take my hand off of my stick to press a button to ping and then press a button to ping and then consistently do that, it's just really tedious for something that I'm just trying to have active consistently. So that would be a nice addition, you know, to have. Okay, so Vulture Collision too fragile. Okay, so yeah, I've seen gameplay of the Vulture. I was actually watching Level Cap play flying this, and I did notice that the collision box and the vulture, it's like you can't tell when you're gonna hit something, so you inevitably end up like tapping into something. As far as how sensitive it is, I've seen them crash like 4 times and not explode or not damage components. So I'm not sure like if they're meaning by too fragile, because it says, yeah, it says too fragile explodes after colliding softly. I seen level cap collide about 4 times pretty softly. I didn't see them explode, but I mean I'll just have to take anyone else on their word on it. Whoever was playing that I haven't seen, that they just it's basically a subject matter of what by definition means to collide softly. You know what I mean? You're talking about a massive ship. We don't know what your speed was. Was it like, you know, was it like 2 miles, 2 meters per second? You know, because we don't go by miles. We go 2 meters per second. Was it like 10 meters per second? What's slow to you? You know, what is colliding softly? So, multi-location, elevators, elevator doors. Yes, please, please. Every time there's a new update, they break this. They break the elevators. They break the doors. Like, actually, funny story. The reason I'm making this video is because I went to go into Star Citizen, and I was at Everest. I called my Arrow because I intended to go and just look for some PvP interactions just to have some, like, fun and, do some, like, dogfighting or whatever. And the elevators would not call. They just wouldn't call. Like, the panel was there. It said call elevator, but it would not switch to elevator called, and it just never came. I waited there for about 10 minutes. I tried several different elevators and it just wouldn't come. So please fix that. That's, without elevators in Star Citizen, there is no Star Citizen. You can't do anything if the elevators are broken. You can't go anywhere or do anything. It's impossible. All right, so Merlin not undocking from the constellation. All right, they plan on fixing that. That's definitely a big issue. Mercury Star Runner only loads 6 SCU of cargo. Okay, listen. Yeah, that's a problem. But you know what else is a bigger issue that I have with the Mercury Star Runner? Well, I wouldn't say a bigger issue, but I'd say an equally frustrating issue is that ever since 3.17.4, whenever you go inside of your Mercury Star Runner, your animation for getting in your seat is botched. Like it's not good. So your seat basically pulls out, and as you sit in your seat, you don't rotate around in your seat and then look forward. You just sit in your seat and you look forward, and then when you exit your seat, it just puts you up, doesn't rotate you around, so you're not facing the back of your ship when you're exiting. So you're facing the front, so it pulls you up out of your ship, and then you fall through the ship to the ground, like out of your ship when you exit the pilot's chair, the pilot's seat. So please fix that, because this is one of my favorite ships that I love flying, but like falling outside of my ship every time I have to get out of my pilot seat is just a nightmare. Stanton ships vehicles, ship features. Reclaimer has no rear elevator interaction. That's pretty terrible, by the way. So I'm glad that they are aware of all this and they're working on it. Multi-vehicle, Stanton vehicle feature, hitbox desync. Nothing worse than a hitbox desync. Vehicles do not take damage when attacked at certain parts of the hull. Now, this is definitely something that is, not just vehicle specific. I want to say that right now. This happens with a lot of ships during a lot of dogfights with the shields, and I don't know why this happens, but if they're aware of it, please, if anybody's watching this, tell CIG, write them on Spectrum. It is not specific, vehicles. It is like a lot of vehicles. I know it says multi vehicles in Stanton vehicle feature hitbox desync, but the amount of vehicles is larger than just a couple. So external inventory loot boxes will eventually load indefinitely. Okay. transit elevators and trams are jittery during transit of players. So, I mean, I haven't noticed any jitteriness. The only thing that I've noticed, well, you know what? I can't say that actually. So, I've noticed that it'll stop, the train will stop when it's loading into certain areas completely, and then proceed once it loads the area to continue. So, I guess if that's what they mean by jittery, then yeah, absolutely. It's jittery as hell. UI vehicle HUD. It is possible for the vehicle HUD to vanish for the player during flight and combat. Yes. Yes. Especially if you have your comms not open. For whatever reason, whenever your comms are not open, it will choose to use your target. So, like, you have your panels, you have your self status, target status, power management, and weapons, whatever you have on your panels, on your center console, right, your UI. For whatever reason, your target panel, right, ends up going to your comms, and you're glitched in your comms or something like that. That's like a big issue related to this that I really want to see fixed. Um, as well as, please allow us to customize our UI the way we like it and stop reformatting it to its original, like, factory settings. Like, if I want to put at the two top most visible panels in the center console, right? If I want my UI to read as follows: top left is self status so that I can monitor my ship's shields and hull life. Top right being target status so that I can monitor my opponent's shields and ship life. And then whatever else is on the bottom and right and left of that, okay, at the very right would be, let's say, for instance, your comms. Underneath your self status would be, for instance, like power management. And then underneath target status on the right hand side, you could have weapons or whatever you want. But the point being is, please, CIG, let us set up our UI and allow our ships to remember how we set up our UI, so that every time we get in our ship, we don't have to keep changing, the arrows like UI or the Warden's UI that shows power management at the top instead of our ship self status. Because you know what? More important than monitoring your power management is knowing how much shields and ship hull life you have when you're in combat. And I'm not saying that power management isn't important, but I know that I have my power management set to I run dual stick, so I have it set to my right hat. So I know that if I hit down on my hat, I set it back to neutral. And if I hit left, it goes to weapons. If I hit up, it goes to engines. And if I hit right and hold right, it goes to shields. And then right back down to default. So I don't need to see, my weapon management to know what my weapon management is. Anyway, I digress. I know I'm ranting about that, and that's really not what this video is about, but it kind of is as well, just so that we are on the known issues category. Okay, so variants only. Weapon feature, multi-tool variants, display healing info regardless of attachments. Alright. Orison mission content. Locations. A hostile AI is stuck inside a wall, yes, at HMR A, and one hostile appears missing in BWBDG. I killed that, but alright. For bounty assignment, Neil Garrison mission. So it's not just Orison, because I notice even in bunker missions, when you're doing like assisted defending site or guard the facilities and stuff like that, we got plenty of the Ninetales that like glitch through walls, stay stuck behind the doors, especially when you do like the bounty missions, the one that are like the question mark RTs that send you to those, missions that are not caves. And sometimes those doors don't open because you have to kill all of their minions, and then they're supposed to come out, out of the door as a boss. Sometimes they don't come out. And the Ninetales get stuck through the wall all the time. So it's definitely not just an Orison issue. Inventory loot boxes. Loot boxes will disappear on approach or after opening them. So like I haven't had the issue where the inventory loot boxes or loot boxes disappear on approach or after opening them, but I've had the issue of when you like grab a box and put it down and it goes through the ground. So that's something that definitely needs to get fixed. Um, and there are some loot boxes that you can actually use your tractor beam and physically move the loot boxes onto your ship. Those have gone through the ground after releasing the tractor beam. Okay, I plugged in my headset, so I don't know why it keeps dying. But anyway, yeah, we lose loot boxes that way as well, even with the tractor beam and stuff like that. So that's something that I hope that we definitely get fixed. I'm wondering if my headset's dying because there's like nothing in the background. But all right, let's see. New features. Geez, they got a lot here. Okay, so yeah, this is just talking about the locations and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna go over all this stuff, but you can see like security outpost Korea, security will be taking more of a central role. This is something that I'm excited for actually. You know, physicalized cargo. Like actually, there's a lot of this stuff that I'm really excited for. The physicalized cargo is an incentive for piracy. Um, and I'm sorry for you cargo haulers out there. Like it's the truth, you know. Actually, um, piracy is going to be very real in the game upcoming very soon, and yeah, it's something that you need to be prepared for. I know that Avenger One talks about it all the time, and I know some of you don't like Avenger One. I honestly don't know what some of your issues are with him, but he's absolutely right. Like you have to be able to defend yourself in the verse. You know, I know that Star Citizen's a video game, and I understand that everybody has the right to play the game as you feel fit, and that's totally fine. But you have to also understand that other people are going to play the game the way they see fit as well. And much like real life, once again, I know it's a video game, but much like real life, the second that you step out into the world, there are dangers out there that are unforeseeable and uncontrollable that you have to at least somewhat be able to be prepared for, right? So think about it like that in Star Citizen. Like, if you need to learn how to defend yourself, then do so. And if you feel personally like you're a pacifist and you don't want to defend yourself, then hire somebody to defend you. If you don't want to engage in violence, that doesn't mean that someone else that's trained and is prepared to defend your ship's cargo, uh, you know, for a cut of the profit, then just do it. You know, just do it. And it's a game. You're not hurting anybody. These aren't real people. So, you know, these are just avatars. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Um, so here, really quickly in the background, give me a second. I'm just gonna run something in the background to run a test because my headset shouldn't even be remotely dying. So I'm just gonna run something in the back here, just really low, just to have something playing through. All right. So physicalized cargo is gonna be awesome. That that means if we blow up ships during pirating, we're gonna actually be able to load up the ships and take the cargo, physically. And this also creates jobs, another game loop at like stations and locations where, loading and unloading cargo can be a thing that people can be hired for. If it's something that you're not interested in doing yourself, you can hire other people to actually do it for you. So moving onward, security post Korea. This right here, I know that a lot of people are like, oh, but they're taking away other places to clear your crime stat, and that means that people are just gonna camp this area. Yes, Yes, they are. And here's the thing, though, is right now prison. If you get sent to jail, how long do you really think that you're there at the longest? If you get like a 5-star crime stat, right? What, like 15 to 20 minutes if you do the in-game, get out of jail quick game loops, like the kiosks and things like that. You'll take about 20 minutes. No more than 20 minutes, I promise you. Like, there's literally no consequence right now for going to prison. Number one. Number two is they have to make the game have more of a penalty for committing crimes, right? Like, you know, you can't just be a criminal and expect to get away with stuff. There's no consequences. Once again, like real life, like you're gonna go to prison. You're gonna, have to deal with the consequences of, your actions. So having them have one facility, meaning you're going to have more bounty hunters, you're going to have more mercenaries, you're going to have a lot more player interaction, and it's basically going to be a giant PvP hub. So if you want to clear your crime stat, you're going to have to go there and take that risk. Number two, if you want to just be on the run, you can absolutely do that. But just remember that Grim Hex is going to be the only place that you can run to if you have a crime stat of 3 or higher. If you have a crime stat of 1 or 2, this doesn't even concern you because you can just pay off your whatever your charges are between a crime stat of 1 and 2. You can pay that off anywhere now. So that's something else that should be coming with this patch. So excited for that as well. But yeah, it's going to take more of a central role in Stanton Security. Crusader Security have moved in full-time staff. That's also another thing. They're going to have like AI security on station now as well, and they're going to add more turrets, which is going to be really cool. And I've begun storing confiscated contraband on board. So so the way this game mode works, from how I've heard them discuss it, is that they're going to actually have contraband on station, and once you kill all the security, there's going to be like a security supervisor, right? Or lieutenant or whatever. Like he's going to be the head honcho there. You're going to kill him. You're going to take his access key card and you're going to be able to access all of the drugs. So hopefully along with this, you'll be able to shut the turrets down. There's going to be like some kind of like a terminal somewhere, like CIG, please. Because you're going to want to shut those terminals down to be able to land your ships in order to load those drugs. That would be freaking awesome, okay? So, this is going to be like another jump town where you're going to be able to get drugs and stuff like that from Security Outpost Korea, which I'm really looking absolutely forward to. So, there's really nothing else to be said about it, yeah, it's gonna be the same contraband dispenser and all that stuff. So it's gonna be pretty sick, man. Um, yeah, so it's literally just talking about what I said, trigger a boss spawn and all that. So I went over that. I could have just read this. Sorry, guys, I got excited. Um, okay, so addition bounty, yada yada yada. I'm not really too crazy about that. So like honestly the Orison mission, like until they fix like some of the glitches and stuff, like I'm not really too keen on do like I'll do them just for the content, but it's yeah. So all right, the biggest thing is the hull scrapping and everything like that. So we already talked about that. FPS, hull scrapping, and repair. So the multi-tool is going to now have a repair module, which is going to be sick, and it's going to have the ammunition canister for salvage repair module, which will ship hull scrapping, as will ship hull scrapping, players will be able to strip away the hull of a ship while its shields are down. So that's cool. They can't strip you while your shields are up, right? And store recycled material composite, RMC, in a canister. Players can cycle between salvage and repair modes by pressing B. So B for me on my keyboard is quantum. So even though I don't use that button, I have a center control panel box, so that's what I use. I just sneezed. So, but yeah, request landing, a new default key binding, Alt N, ships vehicles, Drake Vulture, in addition of the Drake interplanetary light salvage ship known as the Vulture, yada 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 yada. Alright, so feature updates. Small derelict. Yeah, so basically it's just telling us everything all over again. NPC loadouts. Anyway, there's a lot coming with this patch, essentially. Like, it's huge. There's a lot coming with this patch, guys. Seriously. A lot. And, it's going to be pretty badass. I'm really excited for it. So, really quickly, I want to watch some parts of, you know, a video from Board Gamer. He's another guy that's well known, pretty cool. He follows Star Citizen pretty heavily, so I'm gonna put him on really quickly. Just one moment.
Did a bigger change to the filler station that will hopefully make a lot of you happy. My submit came a little late, so you might have to wait a little longer for it, but for the time being, here is a screenshot of the update. You will now be able to create a multi-tool, tractor beam attachment, salvage repair attachment, and the salvage repair can.
So that's crafting, which is awesome. You're now able to do some moderate, well, not moderate, but minor crafting. And so this is a big deal because now crafting, you know, has a place in the game. So this is big, right? This is huge, and I just wanted to play a portion of his video. You know, obviously this is his video here, so if you want to check out more about it, you can go ahead and check him out on his channel. But yeah, guys, this is huge because we're gonna have, you know, access to crafting, and you know, obviously as crafting goes on, they're gonna make better crafting, you know, items that we can just craft. So like, you know, med pens, you know, paramedic refills. Maybe even ammunition, like for weapons and stuff like that. Like, you know, in Fallout you can actually craft, you know, your own facility that manufactures weapons and ammunition and stuff like that. It'd just be cool to see where they go with this crafting, right, and further make it better. Now I would like to add on top of that, though, what we need is player to player trading. I don't care if you have to do it at a kiosk or a terminal, or if another box opens, you know, like you have one box here, one box here in the middle, and then one box here in the right corner, and one of it's for personal, one of it's for shared inventory, and the other one is for the other player's inventory. And you see the three boxes, and you can share amongst people that are within your party. So that's what I hope to see. All right, guys, I know that this video was a little bit different. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and share my content because it gets the word out and it helps me. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and Merry Christmas.